Yeah.
Glenn, can I correct you on something you said?
Yeah.
The stimulus bill is not $850 billion. When you add in the interest cost, it's another $300 billion. So the real cost of this plan is probably closer to $1.2 trillion. I just wanted to make your day.
You know, thank you very much. And you have. Thank you for bringing that home with me. You know, next week we're going to do a kind of a wargaming thing. And maybe we'll start here. Does anybody want to wargame what this looks like, what America looks like, if this stimulus package and the stimulus package yet to come and the bailout of the bad bank and everything, if it doesn't work, what exactly do we look like in 2015? Kirsten?
Well, if it doesn't work, we're in big trouble, obviously. I mean, you could say the same thing if you went. We don't really know is the bottom line. It's the same thing with the bailout. People can say, all the Republicans say, oh, it was so horrible, but we don't really know what would have happened if we hadn't done it. So, I mean, it sounds like you think there's going to be like Armageddon or something if this goes through.
If what goes through?
If the,
stimulus?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, not Armageddon. I mean, because that implies that Jesus is coming soon. I think we're a while away from Jesus.
Oh, yeah, you know
but
that.
What? Oh, no man will know except for me. Stephen, let's war game this out just a little bit.
Yeah.
If this doesn't work, I mean, let's just say it does. Let's just say it just comes through the pipeline. If everything isn't played exactly right, we're playing a game right now of it has to work, because if it doesn't work, we are in a whole different world, are we not?
We are in deep doo-doo if this doesn't work. And, you know, I feel right now like we're living in upside-downville, Glenn. I think if I were the economic czar, I wouldn't be adding $1 trillion to the budget. I'd be cutting $1 trillion for the budget. I mean, you and I have talked about this for months, but the biggest problem with our American economy right now is the most over-indebted institution on the face of the planet is the United States government. It's also the most wasteful institution. And when you look at what's happened over the last 8 years, why in the world would you want to give this institution another $1 trillion to waste?
Michelle, we talked earlier this week a little bit about Mexico. I mean, I'm afraid Kirsten's going to hit me, but I mean, let me just be the doomsday sayer here for just a second. Mexico is on the verge of collapse. What happens when you put the added stress of a collapsed Mexico on our border? What then? What does that look like?
Oh, I don't think that there is any question about it, Glenn. It is truly a national security threat, a grave one, not just economically, but also to our safety. And you're seeing that on both sides of the border. I've been warning about this for years. I wrote Invasion in 2002. And even after September 11th, neither party got serious about interior enforcement or border security enforcement. And I don't think that there are any serious people at the Department of Homeland Security under an Obama administration who are going to fix the last 8 years.
Let's say Mexico collapses, all right? Now you've got out-of-control Zetas on our border. You've got Texans who are we're missing 70 already that have been kidnapped on the border. Most people, you don't know that, do you?
I think you sound like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean, what are you talking about? We're going to be invaded by Mexico? I don't...
If Mexico collapses, who's in control?
If Mexico collapses, that's a very bad thing. But I'm failing to see the connection here between the stimulus package.
See what I mean?
Please,
we're not talking about the stimulus package.
Okay.
Now you have an out-of-control border, people coming over, people being kidnapped, people getting in drug problems and everything else in Texas.
Okay.
How do you control the discontent in Texas? How do you control people saying, you know what? Lock and load, I'm going to take care of this problem myself and defend my family.
You know, I have to say this is something that hasn't occurred to me until just now, so I'm going to have to think about it. And why don't we get back together when it actually happens?
See, this is America. She's making fun of me.
I mean,
and you can go ahead and make fun of me all you want.
What are you saying? You're saying that like
I'm saying that there is so
overrun Texas and
no gangs. Have you heard of the drug? Have you heard of the Zetas?
I have.
Michelle, help me out with the Zetas.
Well, it's it's very real to the people who are experiencing it on the border, and it's happening not just to illegal alien families who are being terrorized by these cartels and these gangs that neither side of the border can control, but also people in Mexico too. And there's two-way traffic. I think that there is a shibboleth, a sacred cow among a lot of the open borders elite that somehow a bad economy is going to solve the problem because people are going to go back to their home country, but they're not going to want to go back to that kind of chaos when the police officials and government officials are corrupted.
We are missing the whole point. You've got people in this country who have said seal this border, and the Republicans didn't do it. The Democrats didn't want to do it. And when that gets out of control, you will have people take things into their own hands and say, I will protect my family from these people. And when the government comes in, you're going to have people say, what are you, crazy? You were part of the problem. You knew these people. We have just, Michelle, how much of the funds, how much of the eavesdropping equipment, how much of the military machinery, the helicopters, are now in the hands of the Zetas? That we
$1.6 billion we sent over to Mexico last year as part of the Merida initiative, and it's working out real well, isn't it, Glenn?
Yeah, exactly right. And so what?
But you know what, Glenn? Yeah. Let me take Kirsten. Believe it or not, I want to take Kirsten's side in this debate.
Thank you.
Because you know, if you actually look at what's happened at the border, you know, we actually have increased border enforcement, and illegal immigration and illegal crossings have fallen by a lot in the last 6 to 9 months.
I'm not talking about. You know what, America? Go to my website at glennbeck.com. Extraordinarily horrible, graphic stuff. You'll be asked 6 times before you can actually see these pictures. They are putting heads on pikes down on our border, within 2 miles. There is a, and correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows, but most people don't, because they just aren't listening and looking for these stories. There is a Coliseum-like effect in about 20 miles south of Brownsville, where if you are going against these drug lords, they will feed you to the lions. That's what's happening south of our border. Yes,
but
sir.
You know what, Glenn? If we didn't have the Border Patrol chasing around migrant workers who are coming in to work at the field, then, as you know, Michelle, then they could go after the people who are the terrorists.
You're blaming enforcement on the chaos.
No. I'm saying that the enforcement needs to be focused on the kind of people Glenn is talking about, not migrant workers who are coming here to pick food.
It is arrogance in this country to think we're America and nothing can ever go wrong. It is the arrogance that it'll always be like this. We don't really actually have to deal with any problems. We don't have to stand up for our own laws. That's what the problem is, and it's sown discontent in this country like crazy, and we're about to pay for it, unfortunately. We'll be back.